Is the person your loved ones know actually the real you, or are you an award-winning actor in your own life? That is the question we are going to unpack today, because there is an anxiety that permeates our most intimate relationships, a shadow we never speak about. And it's the secret, exhausting performance we put on every single day just to feel safe. We call it shyness. We call it being introverted. But what if I told you that for many, it is the performance paradox, the condition where you spend so much energy trying to look relaxed that you become utterly exhausted, entirely detached from the moment, and paradoxically push the very connection you crave away. Think about it. Before a simple gathering, a first date, or even a critical conversation with your partner, how much of your cognitive real estate is dedicated to scripting? You are rehearsing lines in the shower, analyzing past interactions, predicting every possible negative judgment, and curating your appearance down to the smallest detail, not for the joy of the interaction, but for the avoidance of perceived shame. This isn't preparation. This is a self-monitored performance designed to pass an unspoken social inspection. But here is the quiet tragedy of it all. Every minute spent in rehearsal is a minute stolen from the potential for genuine presence. You arrive physically, but your mind is already trapped in the future, terrified of the outcome, constantly self-editing. This level of self-monitoring is not a personality quirk. It is an incredible act of emotional labor, and it is a silent killer of intimacy. You see, we mistake this overwhelming fear of judgment for mere social awkwardness. But modern psychology compels us to look deeper. We are talking about the negative evaluation cycle, a profound, deep-seated belief that your authentic self is fundamentally flawed, and if others see it, you will be rejected. This is the unspoken fear that turns a casual coffee into a high-stakes job interview. The true source of your fatigue isn't the company you keep. It is the constant internal struggle to manage your own perceived worth in the eyes of others. You are not just talking to a friend. You are simultaneously managing the soundboard, the lighting, and the director's chair of your own conversation. And what happens when the conversation ends? The performance doesn't. You launch immediately into post-event rumination, replaying the scenes, dissecting every misplaced word, every awkward gesture, further solidifying the catastrophic prediction that you failed. And this brings us to the core lie, the belief that this performance protects your relationship. In reality, it does the opposite. By presenting a curated, filtered version of yourself, you are entering into a secret, unspoken contract with your loved ones that says, "I will only show you the parts of me I believe you can handle." And while this might temporarily stave off the fear of judgment, it creates an impenetrable barrier to true, authentic love. You are giving people a wonderful experience, but you are not giving them you. The question then is not how do we better manage the performance, but what is the deep, ancient fear that has already judged us, and how do we finally turn the lights off on the stage? We need to realize that the exhaustion is not the problem. The exhaustion is the symptom of a much deeper, more ancient human fear that has hijacked your present moment. I want you to stop for a second and understand this. This isn't about them judging you. It is about the ancient fear that has already judged you. The voice telling you to edit your answer, to hold back a story, or to stay quiet is not the voice of social etiquette. It is the echo of a core vulnerability, a primal defense mechanism that associates true exposure with danger. In the most ancient times, being rejected by the tribe meant death. While that threat is gone today, the wiring remains constantly screaming. Do not be seen as weak, do not be seen as different, or you will be abandoned. This is the anatomy of the fear that we call social anxiety. This primal fear manifests in our modern lives as a constant, low-grade internal conflict, what psychologists refer to as cognitive dissonance in relationships. On one hand, you have the profound natural human need for intimacy, for true belonging, and on the other, you have the overwhelming protective desire for self-preservation through camouflage. You desperately want to be seen and known. But the moment the spotlight feels too hot, you instinctively retreat into the script of your performance. And this dissonance creates a profound internal confusion, making you feel perpetually misunderstood even by those who love you most. The reason you've made the mistake of equating caring about connection with caring about perception. Caring about connection is a beautiful thing. It's being fully present, listening with an open heart, and speaking from a place of authenticity. But caring about perception, that is the prison of the ego, an endless loop of trying to control what is ultimately uncontrollable, another person's mind. And here is where we find a crucial insight. You are trying to solve an emotional and spiritual problem with a social strategy. The social strategy is the performance, the perfect outfit, the rehearsed joke, the agreeable nod. The real problem, however, is a lack of inner safety. You believe your worth is conditional on the applause. But the truth is, your worth is a fixed, non-negotiable value. So how do we dismantle this fear, this internal judge? We must first acknowledge the true cost of this performance. It's not just your energy you're sacrificing, it's your capacity for deep love. When you prioritize managing perception over nurturing presence, you teach your mind to be perpetually guarded, even with the safest people. You become a brilliant communicator of surface-level details, but a silent keeper of the emotional landscape. And that, my friends, is why your partner might say, "I love you, but sometimes I feel like I don't really know you," because they are sensing the wall, the hidden stage curtain. You cannot truly love someone while simultaneously trying to manage their opinion of you. The moment you realize that your vulnerability is not a weakness to be hidden, but a signal of courage that invites true connection, you begin to dismantle the ancient fear. The core of the issue, which we've uncovered, is that we are trying to solve a spiritual problem with a social strategy. We are attempting to manage an internal lack of safety by externally controlling what others see. But the ancient wisdom traditions have known for millennia what modern therapy is only now rediscovering. The solution is not in the doing, but in the being. You are trying to solve a spiritual problem with a social strategy. The true shift happens when we move from performing to being present. And this is where ancient mindfulness offers a radical intervention. Consider the practice of vipassana, which means seeing things as they really are. When applied to social anxiety, it is the practice of recognizing that your anxious thoughts are not facts. They are merely events occurring in your mind. The anxiety that screams, "They think you are boring," or "You should have said something smarter," that is just mental noise, and we've spent our entire lives treating that noise as the absolute, authoritative host of our mind. I want to introduce you to the guest and host metaphor. Imagine your mind is a beautiful, sacred house. When a social situation arises, anxiety rushes in. It is demanding, loud, and constantly criticizing the furniture. Most of us mistake this loud, demanding energy for the owner of the house, and we let it run the show, dictating our actions, our words, and our retreats. But anxiety, like any feeling, is not the owner. It is merely a temporary guest. The host, the calm, stable, self-aware observer, is your authentic presence. You do not have to kick the guest out, which only creates more resistance. The path is to simply acknowledge it. "Ah, fear has arrived. I see you, anxiety." And then you gently turn back to your actual, real-life conversation, refusing to give the guest the keys to the house. The power is in choosing to be the host, observing the guest, rather than becoming the guest. But how do you train yourself to be the host in the heat of a moment when the anxiety starts to spike? This requires a practical, immediate anchor. I call this the 60-second anchor practice. The next time you feel the panic rising, the heart pounding, The urge to check your phone, the mind racing with future fear. I want you to stop and use your senses to move from the abstract of fear to the concrete of reality. Name 3 things you can see right now. Name 2 things you can hear right now. Name 1 thing you can feel right now. The texture of the chair, the weight of your feet on the floor. This simple act, just 60 seconds of radical sensory awareness, moves your mind out of the hypothetical future and back into the undeniable present. Because when you are truly present, you are not performing, you cannot be scripting a conversation and genuinely listening at the same time. You cannot be rehearsing a witty line and noticing the subtle, beautiful shift in your partner's eye contact. Presence is the antidote to the performance paradox. It is the spiritual act of choosing reality over worry. And the moment you choose reality, you realize the profound truth: your worth is not found in the feedback you receive. It is found in the presence you offer. This shift is the first, most courageous step toward healing your relationships. We've talked about the performance, the anatomy of the fear, and the power of presence. But now, we must confront the painful truth. You think your anxiety is protecting your relationship, but it is actually creating a second shadow relationship with your partner or friends. This shadow relationship is built on omission, on what you don't say, on the emotional distance you maintain to protect yourself from exposure. You are physically with your loved one, but emotionally, a conversation is taking place between you and your anxiety, leaving them feeling disconnected, even in your presence. This is the tragic toll social anxiety takes on intimacy. Modern psychology is clear. Avoidance leads to communication barriers. When you avoid disclosing your true feelings or internal struggles out of fear of judgment, you are engaging in a form of emotional unavailability. Your partner sees you withdraw. They see you hesitate. They see you create distance. And because they don't have the key, which is your verbal disclosure of anxiety, they fill the gap with their own narrative. They might conclude you're uninterested, bored, or perhaps that they did something wrong. The wall you build to protect yourself is the same wall that prevents them from truly seeing and supporting you. You are withholding the most important piece of information that would allow them to connect: your vulnerability. Here is a powerful relationship insight. Your partner or close friend is not falling in love with your polished performance. They are falling in love with your potential for openness, not your current pattern of withdrawal. They sense the authenticity beneath the performance and are waiting for you to grant them access. They want the real you, flaws, anxieties, and all, because true intimacy is not about perfect harmony. It is about imperfect honesty. You are robbing them of the opportunity to practice true compassion, to show up for you when you need them most, because you are constantly performing an emotional act of strength. So, how do we bridge this gap? We start with what I call low-stakes honesty. The goal is not a dramatic, tearful confession that makes your anxiety your identity. The goal is a small, surgical moment of truth that creates an opening for connection. Instead of powering through a moment of discomfort, try a simple, non-dramatic disclosure. I just want you to know, I am feeling a little anxious right now, but I want to be here with you. Or, I am having a hard time finding the words for this, but please, give me a moment. This is incredibly powerful. It accomplishes 3 things. First, it releases the pressure valve on your internal performance. Second, it gives your loved one the key to your behavior, shifting their perception from he is distant to he is struggling and trusting me. And third, and most importantly, it establishes a new pattern of emotional courage. The most corrosive belief we hold is that our vulnerability is a burden to others. But in healthy relationships, vulnerability is the currency of trust. It is the signal that says, I trust you enough to let you see my mess. Stop confusing your anxiety with your identity. Your anxiety is a feeling, a temporary state. Your identity is the courageous person who is willing to acknowledge that state. The relationship you have with your anxiety determines the quality of every other relationship in your life. So choose to speak the truth and watch the shadow relationship dissolve. We have exposed the performance, understood the fear, anchored ourselves in the present, and learned the power of low-stakes honesty. Now, we arrive at the culmination, the path to authentic connection, which begins with the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself. The one person you must stop trying to impress is the one staring back at you in the mirror. This radical shift from seeking external validation to cultivating internal acceptance is the final, ultimate act of courage. The philosophy of ancient mindfulness teaches us that suffering often comes not from our circumstances, but from our resistance to them. In the context of social anxiety, our suffering comes from the resistance to the feeling itself. We don't just feel anxious, we judge ourselves for feeling anxious. We try to shame the anxiety out of existence, and in doing so, we only amplify its power. The path to freedom, therefore, is paved not with perfect composure, but with radical self-acceptance. This means treating your anxiety not as a personal defect to be hidden, but as a messenger from your inner world, alerting you to a need for safety and compassion. This journey is about shifting your focus from trying to get validation to trying to give presence. When your entire energy is centered on, what can I extract from this interaction? Will they like me? Will they approve? You become needy, closed off, and reactive. But when you shift your focus to what can I offer? What present? How can I truly listen and see this person? You become grounded, generous, and genuinely magnetic. True charisma is not about having the best lines. It is about having the most genuine presence. Your vulnerability is not a burden. It is the blueprint for true connection. You spent so long believing you need to be strong, smooth, and unflappable. But the human heart does not connect with an image. It connects with humanity. Think of your deepest, most treasured friendships. They are built on the moments of shared weakness, the confessions of hidden struggles, the laughter over mutual imperfections. Those moments were not failures of performance. They were triumphs of authenticity. They were the moments you took off the mask and allowed the blueprint to be seen. The greatest, most fulfilling relationships aren't perfect. They are real. They are not defined by the absence of anxiety, but by the willingness to face it together. Your freedom is found not in eliminating the feeling of anxiety, but in reducing its control over your choices. You can feel anxious and choose to stay. You can feel afraid and choose to speak your truth. This is the definition of inner strength. So, for the rest of your life, I want you to remember this. Stop waiting for the day when you feel worthy to show up. Show up today and let the authenticity of your presence be the proof of your worth. Your true light is waiting for you to stop hiding it, and your truest connections are waiting for you to be brave enough to be seen.